Hi, my name is Noor, and today I'm going to tell you step by step how you, as a young person, can make a difference in the world. I know it may seem daunting, and a lot of the times today we see mostly adults who are able to make a difference, but I found some ways that young people can make a difference, and some of these tips I myself have tried in my own community. So I think the world would be a much better place if every young person implemented tips like this in the city they live. So, my first piece of advice is to really spend time identifying a problem and researching it to better understand what the issue is that you want to solve. So, for example, if you feel like there's a big problem with trash in your city, then you should do some research about maybe what caused that trash to get there, why the trash isn't being picked up. Maybe you can survey people in your community as well to understand if this is something everyone believes is a problem. Because if you can share some data about how everyone thinks this is an issue, then people are more likely to want to support your cause, and sharing data might get more people to recognize the problem as well. So I would spend a lot of time learning about the issue. You might even want to do online courses. This could be anywhere like EDX, or I know Coursera has some as well. You might be able to find some more details there about what other cities have done to solve those problems. And hopefully, you can implement something really good just by doing a lot of good research in the beginning stages. So, my second piece of advice is to find a really good mentor. Once you understand what your problem is, maybe you want to get into doing more research and you can reach out to Fresno State, or for you, it would be any university that you live near. You could reach out to professors in your area and you can talk to them about how they've worked on the issue and what advice they have for a young person who wants to also get involved. I gave the example of Fresno State because that's what I did. In my own personal life, whenever I saw problems in my community, I reached out to professors at Fresno State and I set up meetings to talk about what I saw as issues and what they saw as solutions. And in the past, this has even led to me getting research opportunities. And I got to work on professional level research about local issues that I was seeing. So if it doesn't lead to an internship or research, it could definitely lead to a good conversation that gives you plenty of good ideas about what you can do to make the community better. And my third piece of advice is to write about what you learn. So now you want to share what you've learned about the problem and what you've learned from experts in the field with others. And one of the best ways to do that is through the media. I myself loved doing journalism, and I would reach out to local papers and local journalists to see where I could get my work published. And if not, I know there's several online platforms where you can post your own work for free, like the Medium. So you can write a piece about what you've discovered in your research, and then you can post that somewhere. Getting a newspaper to cover your story would likely bring it to a larger audience, but if not, putting it in somewhere small and promoting that through social media or even creating an Instagram page for your cause, that could be a really great way of spreading awareness and potentially rallying more support for others to help you solve that issue. My third piece of advice would be to start something with others. So, this could be if you're in high school or even middle school, a club or a small organization that you have. I know some people have started nonprofits in the past, but a club may be a good starting point for you. And you would just need other students who are willing to volunteer their time. So if you've done the work of promoting your cause on social media or through the news, so for instance, going back to the example of like if you see a lot of trash in your community, you might have set the goal of wanting to clean up 1 million pounds of trash from your city. Well, if you start a club and you're able to get volunteers, a good starting point would be organizing weekly city cleanups on the freeway. And this could be like every Saturday, you and 10 other volunteers go out and do that. And if you're consistent with that, people will notice it. And not only will you be able to pick up traction, so your community will see it and others will come out to support you, but this could be one of the best ways for you to actually make progress towards your goal without having to worry about what others are going to say. And I can give you one more example of something that I've done in the past. I saw a lot of low literacy rates in rural communities, especially with STEM education. So, with some of my high school clubs, I decided to go out and do outreach, and I initiated some workshops in local libraries to do book readings as well. And so that was a way that I started something. I didn't have to start a club to do that, I did it through existing clubs, but that was a way for me to bring people together to solve a problem. And then my final piece of advice is to really scale whatever you start and try to make it sustainable. I know a lot of people will do whatever they can, and if they're not able to get volunteers, then the effort kind of dies when they go off to college and they aren't able to take their local project with them wherever they go. But you want to make sure that you're able to get volunteers and specifically younger students involved in your cause so that they can carry on the work that you're doing and so that you can still serve as a mentor from wherever you go. So, for example, if you're able to get young people to go ahead and take over leadership roles when you move on into college, you're still able to guide them, come home, and carry on the initial mission that you had, and maybe even scale your project nationally if you move somewhere else within the US. But then you're not going to just let the project die when you leave, right? So you're able to make a much bigger and longer lasting impact that way. And my second piece of advice goes more towards scaling your efforts, and that's to get involved with policy work. This is something that I've tried to do in the past and I'd like to continue doing myself, but I've seen a lot of organizations do this. For example, students who see the importance of STEM education would go to elected officials and advocate for more funding towards STEM programs like robotics and other after school activities. So, this is something you could do. You could write a letter to your elected officials, or you could go to your city government or your state capital if you even wanted to, and take other volunteers and have young people talk to your elected officials and see if, with all of your research and with all of your expert opinions and the projects you've been working on and the results you've been able to create, if you can actually make a difference and have it created in your city's like legal structure. I think that would be one of the most impactful things that you can do. And so I want some to just summarize everything that I said because I know this was a lot. But first, I said you should identify the problem and research it very well. Second, you should find a mentor. Third, you should write about the problem and share it on social media. Fourth, you should start a club or organization and get volunteers to help you. And five, scale your effort and make it sustainable. I know that this may be a little bit tricky when you're just starting, but I think the process is worth it. And this could be something that takes years, but it'll definitely make a meaningful impact in your own life. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. And again, thank you.